Hi, Jake. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Beautiful. And thank you for, honoring the invite. It means a whole lot. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Jake, I am so excited to have you on the show for some reasons. All right. Firstly, I believe that knowledge is the solution to what's problem. And secondly, I believe that there are some things that Jake knows that some of my audience needs to hear you say this stuff, directly from your mouth in order to experience transformation. And thirdly, even myself, I believe I am definitely going to learn one or two things from your story, your insights, your experiences. So for that reason, Jake, I want us to get started with your introduction, your journey, how the journey has been so far, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Jake, over to
Okay.
you.
I am 30 years in training and development. So I've trained people how to sell and how to develop learning programs, adult learning programs for the past 30 years. I've done it over 6 countries, well over 10,000 people. I've spoken in 47 states in the United States on the topic. And I currently work with individual clients as well as corporate clients on how to get out of your own way. So I help people get through imposter syndrome. I do executive coaching on how to break through personal barriers. My background and my degree is in psychology and neuro-linguistic programming. So it gives me a different perspective on people and how they communicate and how they make decisions. And that's what makes me very different from other trainers that are out there. It's been a great journey. As I told you in the questionnaire you sent before the podcast, I've been through some rough spots in life. But I'm a product of my mistakes, and I'm proud to say that.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so shall we get started with the questions, Jake?
Sure. Yep.
All right, beautiful. So, can you talk to us about the psychological tactics for flawless communications?
Well, I think the biggest part of it is establishing trust and establishing trust in the first couple of minutes of talking to someone. And what I've found working all over the world is that everybody's attitude is pretty much the same, which is I'm going to talk as much as humanly possible. And my clever wordsmithing is going to create that trust. And the reality is it doesn't. The majority of trust is created through listening, understanding, and taking a true interest in the other person, regardless of who they are. And trust even starts before that. I call it persuasion. Before you even talk to somebody, you're persuading them by your LinkedIn profile, your social media, the pictures you take of yourself and put out there, your comments. So you're really a sum total of all of your communications. And honestly, you need to be careful. Anything you put out there is persuading someone before they talk to you. So I think a big part of having that flawless communication is making sure that anything you do before you communicate paints the right picture for who and what you are.
Beautiful. I got that. I got that. Okay, so what is the adaptive conversational blueprint? And okay, talk to us about that first. Talk to us about that.
So most people, most of humanity, and I think most of us would agree with this, even outside of studies, is we talk with the intention of talking again. It's a finely honed skill to talk with the intent of listening and understanding. And many people talk with almost an anxiety that I need to interrupt you, and this is what I'm going to say next. The adaptive conversational blueprint teaches you how to listen effectively, establish trust quickly and easily, and it works with the person's perceptions and conditioning. Like a great example of conditioning is this that all your listeners will be able to relate to. We've all had that time where our cell phone rings and we look at the number on the cell phone and we think, oh, I just don't have time for this person, right? You know who that person is. You're shaking your head. You know their name. You can see their face. And it's because that person has not conversed well with you in the past. They've not had a give and take. They've not made you feel important or listened to. And so we have that conditioning to break through. That extends into the words we use. 99% of people start a conversation with, hi, how are you? The reality is most of us don't care. You're not interested in the latest surgery that I had. You're not interested in how my dog is doing. It's a greeting we all use. But our response is conditioned. What do we always say? Fine, thanks. How are you? I was out shopping with my wife the other day and I walked by another gentleman and our eyes met. And I nodded to him and I said, hey. And his response was, fine, thanks. How are you doing? The conversation never took place, but we're so conditioned. And when we offer a conditioned response, what winds up happening is other conditioned responses start to line up in our head. How are the kids? What's the weather like there? Did you go on a vacation recently? We all get those preconditioned questions come up. The adaptive conversational blueprint steers conversations around that conditioning. So you're both involved. You're both active. You're actively listening. And I use it in a sales environment to get salespeople to understand that a sell is not you ramming something down somebody's throat. A sell is a mutually agreed upon conclusion where both of you walk away happy. So the blueprint is a definitive set of steps to take to make sure that's your.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I love how you answered that question. That's amazing. I like that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we still have some questions here. All right. So, what exactly is a fractional chief learning officer?
Around the world, there's been a movement towards fractional work. And all fractional work means is that you work with a company part-time in a leadership role. For instance, some of my clients hire me for 30 hours a month or 10 hours a week or 8 hours a week. And what they expect in return is they expect my 30 years of experience that I bring to the table. So they don't want to pay for me full time, which is understandable. You don't need to. I can do a vast amount of outstanding work for you in a short period of time. And you don't keep me on forever. My job as a fractional person is to make you self-sustaining. So at some point, you and I cut ties and you're off on your own and you're doing things well because I've taught you to do them. So fractional just means I'm in a leadership role part of the time for a company for a defined period of time. The chief learning officer piece is just a fancy way of saying I head up your training and development. So I help your company establish a training development program. I help your sales team exceed their sales objectives. And then when the time is right, you hire somebody full-time to take my place and we go our separate ways. So as a fractional person, I can take on 4 or 5 clients at a time because I'm only giving them so many hours per.
Got that. Okay, so how does it differ from a chief revenue officer or a VP of sales?
Well, when I go into a company, you'll often have a chief revenue officer or a chief sales officer, and they run the entire sales department. And they will determine how often calls need to be made and who they need to call and what the demographic is. I'm different than that because I have the chief revenue officer make all the decisions that they want to make up to the point that the representative picks up the phone. Once they pick up the phone and start dialing, that's all my territory. I teach them what to say and how to say it and how to build a conversation. My tagline is I help you have the perfect conversation. That's my goal. And if you do that, a sale is sometimes the end result of that conversation. So the chief revenue officer or chief sales officer and I work together to make sure revenue is steady and ever increasing.
Hearing you speak shows that you're just so good at what you do, and I love that. Okay,
Thank you.
so can anyone learn your methodology?
Yeah, they can. But here's the thing. From the time we're kids, we're exposed to communication methods. The way our parents talk to us, the way we talk to our friends, the way we talk to strangers, and the way our teachers talk to us. So the way we communicate is embedded in us from an early age. And in that, it makes it difficult to change the way you do it. You know, there's the saying, the tiger never changes its stripes. And I think to a large degree that's true. But if you follow the format I give, and you do the exercises I give, and you do the practice that I suggest, what you find is that you can change the way you think, act, and listen in a conversation. And it makes it more effective. To best illustrate this, think about, not only do your friends not mind taking a call from you or your clients, but they look forward to it and seek you out. That's the difference in the way we typically communicate. And now, in an environment where we're all pretty much in our homes, right? We're all working remotely to some degree, and we have limited access to everybody. Establishing better communication techniques is more important now than ever. Because think how easy it is to misinterpret a text or an email, or get angry because you thought somebody meant one thing when they meant another. Better communication is a skill we should all be pursuing every single day.
Oh, beautiful. It's you we should all be pursuing every single day. Better communication. I got that. Okay, we have two more to go. All right.
Sure.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, you are master's certified in neuro-linguistic programming. You mentioned that
Yes.
earlier. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming is a method of not only understanding yourself, but understanding other people. And it works on the premise that we all essentially communicate in similar methods and think similarly. It basically says that 95% of us do things almost identically. When we speak certain ways or access certain memories, all of our eyes go in a certain direction. When we describe a situation, we typically describe it in a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic sense. So neuro-linguistic programming says if you can understand that we're all exactly the same, or at least remarkably similar at a deep level, it enables you to communicate with them better. Because there's one thing that's absolutely the truth. There's one topic everybody on the planet likes to talk about the most: ourselves. So the goal of neurolinguistic programming is to understand the person who's speaking, how they process their thoughts, how they communicate visually, and how they communicate auditorially, and how they use metaphors. And by understanding that, you can communicate with them even better. And the amazing thing that happens is when you get certified to do NLP, your understanding of yourself skyrockets. You learn things about yourself you never thought could possibly be true. And it opens up some really amazing windows into your soul and your life.
Oh, amazing, amazing, beautiful. That's a good one. You know, that's a good one. I love that. Okay, so actually, I've been learning some amazing things that are actually new to me. So now,
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm just trying to process it all. So I'll have to listen to our conversation over and over again. Okay, Jake. So you've said some beautiful stuff. So to bring this to an end, Jake, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you do, how can that be possible?
The final thought I think I'd like to leave people with is we all want to be interesting to other people. We show it all the time. It's natural. It's human behavior. We want to be interesting to other people. The final thought I would leave people with is if you want to be truly interesting, be interested. The more interested you are in another person, the more interesting you're going to be. And the more you connect people and give to people, the more people are going to come to you and be drawn to you. The adage that I need to be a smooth talker or silver-tongued in order to get people to like me is completely and utterly wrong. The best way to get people to like you is to be interested in them. It's amazing, and I can't emphasize how much that it works. So if people want to get a hold of me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm under Jake Stahl, obviously, Stahl. I'm in there as a certified chief learning officer because there's 100 Jake Stahls on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in engaging my business, you can find me at jakestahlconsulting.com. And that's JAKESTAHL consulting.com.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Jake. Thank you for coming and thank you for, impacting us with this amazing insight as to communication
Yes,
and
thanks
this
for having
important
me.
stuff. Yeah, man.